Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Question 2. If you could choose just one thing to change about the world, what would it be?
To make stuff cheaper.
He just got done counting his money upstairs. He had like $27 $1 bills. Right? Is that how much?
No, I like
40 $1 bills? Going to a strip club. No. Only on Saturdays. No, so you would want to make things cheaper. And this is really indicative of how you grow as a person. The older you get, the more perspective you have. Now, my brother is only 9 years old. He's only lived with us in our community. He doesn't really have that much of an idea of the world outside. So the biggest issue that we confront as a pretty stable middle-class family in North America is money. We wish we had more of it, just like everybody does, and we wish things were cheaper, more affordable. That is the biggest issue that we face, and so that's what Seth sees. For me personally, this is a very difficult question. There's always the Miss America answers of world peace or something like that. I feel like there's a more philosophical way of approaching this question. One thing that I would like to see is that if people, world peace-esque, but if people would just learn to channel their emotion and their anger or something like that into productive tasks. If we had people competing, if our battlegrounds were in science and technology and furthering the human race rather than testosterone-inflated confrontation on a military battlefield, we would have made so much progress up until this point. I do not know if our civilization would be recognizable as it is. At the same time, I definitely think that, and one of the reasons why I support this, going off on a different channel, I'm sorry, but is that not, like, aggression is definitely part of human nature, but it doesn't have to be aimed or directed at another person specifically with the intent to harm them. It can be channeled into things like sports, like competitive business, or any kind of field where you're trying to be the best. So I definitely don't agree with socialist or communist principles, but I definitely think that, because I do believe that there's a competitive nature to human beings, and that is ingrained in what it means to be human. At the same time, we need to learn how to channel those things into a more productive task. And if I could change anything about the world, it would be that people would channel their aggression or their anger into, or their hatred, or all those negative emotions into productivity. Any thoughts on that?
No.
No thoughts? I went on talking for about 5 minutes. These videos aren't going to be that long. So, you would say money. Why would you say things should be cheaper?
So you can afford it.
So you can afford it? Like, is there anything in particular that you want to buy right now?
No.
No. So, where does that feelings, that sentiment come from? Does it come from watching mom and dad saying that we wish we had money for that, or does it come from you wanting to buy something, or where does that come from?
I don't really know.
You don't really know.
It
It definitely comes from somewhere. Things don't just appear out of nowhere. You definitely had that thought because you've heard it somewhere before or something like that. So, do you think you could elaborate or tell us where you heard that?
Not really.
No, you definitely can. You don't have to be eloquent. The point of the series is for you to learn about yourself and to engage in introspection and learn about the world as a whole. So you say money is the thing, things should be cheaper. What do you mean by, so well, obviously you mean things should be cheaper, but do you think things should be cheaper for a moral reason, like they're outrageously expensive, or do you think that things should just be cheaper because you want them to be cheaper.
Well, that whole different thing to say.
So the problem with some of these questions is that they're very intellectually demanding. So let's try to break this one down. If you could change something about the world, what would it be? So if you were going to change something, that would imply that the world is not perfect, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that things that cost so much money is a imperfection in the world, correct?
Yeah.
And that to make the world more perfect, things should cost less.
Yeah.
But why should things cost less?
So you can get cooler stuff for cheaper.
But somebody has to profit off of that stuff in order for it to be made. So what if it can't be any cheaper?
I don't know.
Because it seems to me that things being cheaper is a little bit more selfish of a reason. Because you want more stuff. It's not a societal perspective. Or do you want things to be cheaper for everyone so that everybody can live better?
Yeah.
The issue with that, though, is that if everything's cheaper, then things won't be made as well. The people who make this stuff, the people who invest in research, will be less likely to invest. So it seems to me that you're kind of in a catch-22. You make things cheaper, but the quality goes down, just like you saw historically. You probably don't know this yet, but in communist Russia or any state where the economy is driven and controlled to a great extent by the government.